everyone, I'm Alicia Gargaro-Magaña from fertilitygoddess.net, and I'm so excited today to have the fabulous, wonderful Stace Nelson Hicks with us. Stace is a licensed acupuncturist and nationally certified herbologist. And I've known Stace for years. She was the first acupuncturist I ever saw on my journey for fertility. And simply because you live in Ventura County, California, it doesn't make any sense for me to make that journey. But so thank you so much for coming today.
I'm so glad.
Stace has treated so many wonderful people, but with very many different modalities. Okay, so she's going to talk a little bit about what she does, where she came from, how she got here, and then, you know, a little bit about what you do. So, Stace, thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure.
Go for it.
Glad to spread the word. So, I practice as a licensed acupuncturist, and that is a very narrow term for what actually acupuncturists do. We're actually Oriental medical doctors, and we have a whole we have many tools at our disposal to use, including acupuncture and herbs and body work and nutritional counseling, Chinese as well as Western. And so in my practice, I combine all of those things for general well-being, for women's and men's health, because men are part of the fertility issue as well. So when a woman comes in to see me, what we do with Chinese medicine, the way that we diagnose what's going on with you, because you have to understand that Chinese medicine is a whole medical paradigm of its own. It developed on its own. It's a whole different way of looking at the body, and understanding that we have Western bodies, but we can use an Eastern diagnosis and treat in an Eastern and Western way. So what we do, how we figure out what's going on with our patients, is that we feel the pulses and we look at the tongue. Because when Chinese medicine was starting, there were no x-rays, there were no MRIs, there were no ultrasounds. So the ancient doctors had to figure out what was going on internally by using the pulses. And each pulse represents an organ system. And by feeling whether it's too full or too depleted in those areas, we can then determine how to put you back into balance. And we stimulate certain points with the needles, and those points have their own jobs to do. They have their own qualities. So if somebody's feeling weak, we can tonify that point. If they're feeling too full or in excess, we take away from that point. And those points that we use are determined by what we're feeling on your pulses and seeing on your tongue.
And you can sort of take a look at the different, you can see if someone's not in balance by looking at their tongue or feeling their pulse. Like, interestingly enough, though, on my left side, my pulse is weaker than on my right.
We see that quite often. Sometimes that means that there's a blockage and that your qi is not flowing smoothly into the left side. There are actually many different ways to look at that. There's a husband-wife imbalance in 5-element acupuncture, so those would be using a different set of points and a different way of treating. I treat with traditional Chinese medicine, and we would have to work at getting that blockage out. And also there are different organs represented on the left hand and the right, so those organs are the ones that we would concentrate on.
Ah, that's interesting.
So it's heart, liver, and kidney is what you'd be looking at on the left side. So it's probably liver and kidney are very involved. These are your Eastern organ systems and meridian systems, not necessarily your Western liver or your Western kidney. So we'd be looking at putting those back into balance, which is the whole goal of Chinese medicine. It's a holistic medicine. We look at the body as a whole. So if one thing is off, that means somewhere along the chain, something else is going to be off, because you can't have one thing out of balance without pushing something else out of balance. So we try to bring all of that back together. And it's good to start this at any age. I mean, the same principles hold true for fertility, for PMS, for any female issue you might be having. And at 15, 16, 20, you may not be thinking about having a child. So you're just living your life the standard American way. If more women knew about acupuncture and holistic health and the herbs and nutrition, if they started then, I have a feeling we'd see slightly lesser rates of infertility, because it is a general wellness issue.
I mean, my nutrition when I was at that age was beer and cigarettes. Beer, cigarettes, red wine. That was my nutrition for a long time. So it's no wonder that I have trouble. But in the 10 years that I haven't had any alcohol, trying to rebuild, I still recently have been off coffee, which I've talked about before. It's just so hard for me. But I'm done it. I'm on 6 days, and it's a miracle.
Great.
What if you just get off it, calm the hell down? You will survive.
Yes,
you will survive.
Coffee is a tough one because there's rebound effects.
Yes,
so you got to get through those first couple of days.
Yeah,
and then you actually feel kind of lighter. There's definitely a different feeling that you get, and it's in Chinese medicine. Well, in Western too, the coffee will affect your adrenals.
Right.
Your adrenals are associated with the kidney, so you can now integrate the two medicines. So your kidney energy is very responsible for helping you conceive. It's where your DNA, what we call your Jing, resides. So you want to keep those kidneys very healthy. And most of us in our 20s, maybe even our 30s, burn our Jing out. And so it's replenishing that vital essence to help you conceive. And then everybody has at least a dual diagnosis in Chinese medicine. Like I said, if you have kidney deficiency, you may have blood stagnation because your kidneys aren't strong enough to create qi in blood. Most people are highly stressed out, especially around fertility issues, which in Chinese medicine leads to a condition known as liver qi stagnation. And if the liver qi is not flowing smoothly, you're going to have irregular periods, you could have fibroids, you could have cysts, and emotional issues and stress and anxiety, which only push the physical symptoms further along. So Chinese medicine can work on several different levels of getting the body back to what we would call homeostasis in Western medicine, and also calming down the emotions and what we would call the Shen. Your spirit needs to calm down. And that's difficult when you're in the midst of IVF and doctor's appointments and running. Even though it's potentially a very happy stress, it's still very stressful.
It's very stressful. It's very stressful. And, you become your uterus, the ovaries, the injections, it just becomes about timing and if you don't do it right. I mean, when I did my injections for the short time I did, twice I did IVF, I mean, I was like this, and I'd shoot the medicine, the $300 shot, right across the room. So my husband would be like, give me that. He'd have to do it. He's an editor, so Ed could do it very delicately. He's delicate, he's got, his hands are, he's more precise, and I'm like Italian, and there it goes. So yeah, no, it was not very good. But anyway, it's good. That is very important. The overall picture of keeping calm and carrying on as we go forward. And so I think that, and someone like you who's very calm when you're with your patient is hugely important. Because I've had experiences with doctors that made me very stressed out, and I just wanted to run for the hills. So it's always so good to meet someone as lovely as yourself who can empathize in a lot of ways.
Yes.
In that regard. You once talked to me about the baby palace.
Yes.
And I think that that's an important image while women are going through fertility and going through IVF or just whatever challenges that we don't see the cultivation of the room we're creating for the baby. If you could talk a little bit about that, I love that.
In Chinese medicine, there is no such thing as a uterus. It is known as the baby palace. Because the medicine was developed 5,000 years ago, and they didn't have as great a sense of anatomy and definitely physiology, so they knew that there was a place that this precious being comes into. So I like to think of our whole bodies as the baby palace, especially during fertility. In fact, your body should be a palace at all times, and especially during this time, the baby palace takes on so much more meaning. There's what I am in Chinese medicine, you need to have blood, you need to have qi, you need your jing to be healthy. What we can really work on is this blood and qi for women and the men, to have that be at its utmost during pregnancy or pre-pregnancy. And if I think for any woman, whether or not she has fertility problems, and I think it would be great to start this process, if you know that you want to try and have a baby 2 years from now, that is the time to get started taking care of yourself. Food is a big issue, staying really good, clean nutrition, staying away from any toxic chemicals, which is very difficult. But the part that you can control, I think you should. Parabens, BPA, all of the hormone disruptors that are out there in our society right now.
They're in everything.
It is difficult to get away from them, but here's what you can do. You can change your shampoos, change your conditioners, change your makeup, change your cooking utensils, use bamboo, use non-Teflon. You don't want to use any plastic. Don't microwave in plastics at all.
Oh my God, I've been using plastic stirring.
Yeah, don't even. Just go and get
wood.
Get the bamboo and the wood, glass containers.
So Carl, the reason for everything.
Yeah, it's in everything. Your shower curtain liners, those give off that smell. Carpeting is, I think, one of the top 2 toxic fumes for hormone disruptors. So start removing that stuff now, so that when you do conceive, or try to conceive, at least those are issues that you've tried to take care of. Now, you can't take care of all of them, but it is really my belief that whatever you can control, please do. And then so there's detoxifying with herbs, with food, to try to get your body ready, get your liver ready, because your liver has to clean the body of the hormones. And if you can do a liver cleanse before you get started, and then keep up that kind of eating and lifestyle. I've mentioned food, but I am a wholehearted believer in organic foods. Our food supply is so polluted. They're genetically engineering things and not telling us what's genetically engineered. We don't know what genetically engineered foods are going to do to us. Something's going on. The rate of infertility has increased.
Isn't it insane?
Fold. And I don't know the statistics, but I know just from my private practice how many people are coming in with fertility issues. Something is going on out there. So whatever you can do to protect yourself, do it. Spend the extra money. If it feels like a splurge, it's not. It's going to save you medical bills in the future.
I know. It's really hard. People say that all the time, and then you're there, like the $5, bread or
versus,
milk or gluten-free, and you're just like,
Exactly.
But it's true. It is true. And we've had other people talk about that, and I was just told the same thing. Organic, the big O, people. Organic.
Yeah.
Well, you're working as a nutrition, you're also a nutritionist.
Yes.
So you know this subject.
What I use is, in my practice, I also use something called functional medicine. As a licensed acupuncturist in the state of California, I have the right to order blood work. And so when someone comes into my office, not only do I do a comprehensive Chinese medical exam, but I also ask to run labs on them so that we can see what's out of balance. Functional medicine uses a tighter range of lab results than your normal like Quest or whatever your local lab is. We take those numbers and put them into a tighter realm, and it's great for people who go to the doctor, their labs come back normal, and the doctor says, there's nothing wrong with you, all your labs are normal.
Right.
Functional medicine fills that gap because we really fine-tune what we're seeing. And in fertility, a lot of times a woman will test normal for her thyroid results, but in functional medicine, we fine-tune it and we can find a lot of problems, and because thyroid is very, very important when it comes to conception. And a lot of times, thyroid problems go unnoticed. And so that's where functional medicine practitioners can really do a great service. And I'd like to say that acupuncture does quite good, and Chinese herbals do quite good for thyroid problems as well.
Thyroid is huge. And if you haven't yet had your thyroid checked, not only get it checked, but see someone like Stacy who does functional medicine, because I've had my thyroid checked and I can't believe it's 100% normal. I mean, there are times when like I'm up here or down here or having a hot flash or freezing or whatever it is, you know.
So it's more than just your estrogen and progesterone. There's thyroid there. I mean, there are many, many hormones involved in staying healthy and feeling healthy and normal, as you know, because the IVF and all of the injections and all of the hormones that you're using do create this flux in emotions. Hormones are incredibly powerful chemicals, and that's another place where the acupuncture can help, not just with helping boost the rate of conception. There was a big study done in Germany 10, 15 years ago about how there's a specific procedure that you have done with your IVF sessions. You do acupuncture before and acupuncture immediately after. And that increases the rate of conception by 20%. But also, I believe that the acupuncture mitigates some of the issues that women have with the hormones. Some women fly through it. They don't even feel like they're on the hormones. And then other women feel like they're going crazy. And I do believe that the acupuncture, and what I've seen is that the acupuncture can help mitigate some of the side effects. And then, hopefully, everyone goes home with a baby. For those women who don't conceive, you need to flush the system of those hormones, and you need to get the body ready again for the next round. See, in Chinese medicine, it works very differently than Western. You could be ready to go in another, 6 weeks. Chinese medicine, we would ask that you wait until your body is actually ready again, when your pulses feel regulated and balanced, when you're feeling regulated and balanced. So sometimes we have differing opinions than when the fertility doctors say. In my practice, I go with what my patients want. It's not my place. If they're ready to go and the fertility doctor thinks now's the time, then I will support what the patient needs. But in Chinese medicine, you need to wait and clear your system back out.
And I think that idea of cleansing is really important. Juicing. Oh, and the whole idea of eating warm. Well, I mean, it depends. Like, I guess I'm hot, therefore I have to
cool down.
Cool down, but not eat cold foods. So can you explain that?
Well, there's two different types of cold. Well, at least two different types of cold.
I'm cold in here. There's no circulation. At my latest trip to the acupuncturist, there's definitely been a change in the last few months, but you know what? I've eaten so much yogurt, so much dairy lately, and that was the first thing. She's like, no more.
That's
no more. Even though it's organic, no more.
Cold down. Chinese medicine works like nature, so you can have cold, you can have heat, you can have damp, you can have dryness, and that can be internalized. And when you have dampness, things get very sluggish. That's when cysts can form. That's when fibroids can form, because this dampness is sitting there. You can also have damp heat, which is a different type of issue. That's usually the inflammatory PID would be more of a damp heat. So Chinese medicine, we have cold. You know, like you eat ice cream and you get cold. You eat ice and you have cold. There's also something called yang deficiency. Yang is your heat. That's your internal heater. Energetic. It's, you know, represented by the sun and movement. But you can have yang deficiency. You could have pushed again in your 20s so hard and so fast, been a type A, used all of your yang up, and boom, it crashes. And now you have this yang deficient cold because your heater isn't working anymore. And the same can be said for yin deficiency, which is a coolness problem, like your air conditioner just stopped working. You can eat hot peppers, you can have really hot food, or you can have this yin, which is your nourishing, cooling energy represented by the moon, and that goes away, and so now you're running hot all the time and having hot flashes and night sweats. Those are usually yin deficient patterns that we would see. So cold in the womb doesn't allow for the blood flow. It doesn't make a good home for an embryo to start.
Well, this is all very interesting, and it's all very a lot to take in, but it's important for women to get educated on the full body well-being. So we're not just our uterus, and we're not just, like I said, injections or endometriosis or your cysts or whatever. It's whole body. And that means what you put in will affect your internal organs, will affect your entire body, your surroundings. As you said, like the house full of plastic.
We all have it. Just take the time to get rid of it.
And most importantly, I think that what you talked about, staying calm and you know, emotions run high. Find a supportive group and find a good supportive doctor like yourself that is with you through this experience. And so, you know, I'm really so grateful that you're here and that you were able to share with us. And, you know, you are about to become a more certified in nutrition.
Yes, a clinical nutritionist.
So that's a whole nother
door to go down and more help to give people.
So, I encourage you to reach out to Stacy.
Sure.
If you are in the Ventura area, she has her practice. And do you have a website?
I don't.
You need to get a website. But we can include email. What is your email?
Well, it's Stacy Nelson at hotmail.com, and it's spelled STACENELSON at hotmail.com.
So reach out to Stacy if you have any further questions. Again, just a wonderful, wonderful goddess. She's a true goddess. And you've inspired me for many years. So I'm so grateful that you're here. And we could talk for hours.
Yes. Yeah.
But I thank you all for tuning in once again to Fertility Goddess Television at fertilitygoddess.net. And again, Stacy Nelson Hicks, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay.